my name is Tracey Cook, and welcome to the podcast series Victim to Victory. This series gives a voice to those that have overcome obstacles in all forms, that dare greatly to share their real stories. Amazing humans like our upcoming guest that have seen hope and risen above those adversities to become victorious, that now support and inspire others to do the same. And today we are giving a voice to Darlene Williams. Welcome to Victim to Victory.
Thank you, Tracey. I appreciate it.
You're more than welcome. Now, before we get into your story, I just want to share with our audience a little bit about what you do, and I'll get you to elaborate on that if that's okay, because you were a single mum with 5 children, and 2 of which were heading to college at a turning point in your story as well. And I know how much you're empowering, inspiring, motivating, and helping a lot of baby boomers retire and build their own stimulus that keeps on giving. And I know that in these times, what you're doing in the communities and for helping change families' financial blueprints is more essential than ever. Now, that is what you do, but we're more interested about who you are. And I know I've heard bits of your story, and I know that it's very brave of you to share your story. But Darlene, who is Darlene, and where does your story start?
Thank you, Tracey. I am, as you said, a single parent. I found myself widowed at the age of 29. I lost my husband on a motorcycle accident. Less than 90 days later, my father passed. So I found myself widowed and fatherless within 90 days. That was traumatic for my family and I. I had 2 small children at the time. I had an 8-year-old and a 3-year-old. And like I said, I just found myself bewildered, not knowing what to do, where to turn. And I found myself just kind of distraught. If it had not been for family, I don't know where I would have done and what I would have done. But I had a strong support system with my family, and they just surrounded myself and my children and just put their arms around us. Even my late husband's family would support us, and, you know, not necessarily financially, but they supported us physically, mentally. And that was a great deal to me and my family. And I found myself needing more additional income because I lost my husband's income. And so I found myself introduced, my good friend Tim introduced me to network marketing. And it has been a dream come true.
Now, what a traumatic experience, Darlene. I mean, so young, a young family, and such a tragic loss. I'm so glad you had the support and network and the system to, you know, to keep your family together and to help you heal. What other kind of, I mean, this is a major trauma. And then your father, you know, within that time span as well. What were the major things, if you don't mind me digging a little bit deeper, what were the major feelings and circumstances? Because I know financially that is a priority, but emotionally, what did you feel? What did you go through in such that short time span of who you had to be? Was it a major change? Did it happen straight away?
I don't say it happened straight away, but to me, it was a major change. I felt a lot of anxiety, unknownness, that's such a word, just a lot of uncertainty, not knowing what to do next, where to turn. And if it had not been for my religious upbringing and my faith in God, I don't know where I'd be today. But God kept us, he sustained us, and he just brought us through. And every time I would turn around, another door was opening. So God opened many doors. Financially, we were taken care of. Even had people bending, I'll call it bend over backwards, bend over backwards to help us. For example, we found out we only had my husband's insurance for 30 days after he passed. I had come to find out the insurance lady, she went an extra step. Come to find out my husband had worked for her brother. He was his supervisor. She went to her brother to find out because she thought my insurance should continue. So she went the extra mile before she wrote me an insurance policy to make sure that I wasn't spending money unnecessarily. And so I appreciate that. Different things like that happen in my life. People would just come out of nowhere seemingly and just offer some support and some assistance. And sometimes it was just a kind word. I had a young lady who was like 10 years old because I had basically become a recluse. I had stopped eating. A young 10-year-old young lady told me that I had to eat. Mm-hmm. I couldn't starve myself to death. And, I wouldn't be any good to myself or anybody else in that condition. And those words stuck with me. She was kind enough. And we just formed a bond from there. And those words just stuck with me from a child. And, to hear my husband's family, I mentioned that my husband's cousins, and she was a young lady too. She might have been 10 or 12 at the time. She said, "We're your family too. We're your cousins too." And those things just meant the world to me, that even though my husband's side of the family, they accepted me for who I am and who I was at that time.
Now, I know this means a lot to you, especially the space that you work in with a lot of entrepreneurs, and you empower and inspire and motivate so many people, plus all of the necessary resources, strategies and skills that you actually present in what you actually do. Now, when you're actually gone through such a trauma, you've got such a strong faith, which is wonderful. You always knew that you were meant for more, weren't you? I know we've spoken about this before. You always knew that there was something bigger for you, didn't you? Talk us through a little bit of that.
Absolutely. Thank you, Tracey. I always knew I had a purpose-driven life. In fact, I was probably a teenager at best. And my late pastor told me, he said, God didn't leave me ignorant for a reason. And I didn't really understand what that meant for a long time. But I kept pondering on it. I kept thinking about it. And I realized that I am here to help other people. Let them know that you can survive and you can make it, no matter what comes or what goes. And my late pastor's wife used to have a saying, "I don't care what it looked like, what it seemed like, smell like, taste like, feel like." And she went through the gamut. But whatever's going on in your situation, God is, first of all, is not going to put any more on me than I can bear. Secondly, he's already has doors open. I just have to be willing and to walk through those doors. He's already got a way of escape. One of my friends always said, every time a trial would come up, she'd say, "Oh, goody, can't wait to see how God's going to work this one out." And I took that mentality, and I'm like, man, God just keeps showing up and showing out. I just can't wait to see what he's going to do next. And when I took that philosophy, instead of feeling woe is me and feeling sorry for myself, when I just took the philosophy that, hey, I can't wait to see how God's going to work this out, things just started showing up. And God just started showing up, as I call it, and showing out.
We
And
need
just
that printed on a t-shirt.
I like that thought.
I love how you
Yeah.
see all the blessings in everything, because it's okay to go through hard times and be down and sit in that space, but you just keep on thriving. You keep getting back up. You keep noticing all the blessings, and you just keep moving forward and smiling. And I watch you on your social media and things like that, and I listen to your story, and all I feel is joy, because you are authentically yourself. You are totally in alignment with your beliefs and your core values. And I know how much that actually means to you, and how much you are a servant as well. You want to serve people. You want to be able to spread the joy that you've got onto and speak life into somebody else as well. Now, Darlene, this has been a big trauma in your family. You've stood up, you've moved on. Where did that lead you next? Like, what area did that leave you when you actually stood up and you're on your own 2 feet and you've got a young family, you're a single mum? Where did it lead you next?
Well, actually, the next place I went, actually, I worked at the sheriff's department at the county jail. And I think the period in my life, actually, I spent 20 years and 43 days there. And that period in my life gave me some leadership skills and supervision of the inmates. So it gave me some stepping stones, but it also gave me a greater appreciation for my freedom. And when I got to the point where I won't say I no longer cared, but it wasn't that strong feeling of I'm here to serve. When I got to that point after about 20 years, I decided it was time for me to do something else. But in the meantime, I knew that a job alone or my pension alone was not going to be enough to sustain my family and I. So I started a home-based business while I was still working. So I was able to minimize my taxes and put some additional income back into my household. And I learned some strategies how I could actually enhance my retirement. So when I got ready to retire, it wasn't a point where I would be just working the 40-40-40 plan all alone and only take home 40% of my income. So I was able to take home a greater portion of my income all while I was working, as well as be able to have additional income in my retirement.
That's great, because I think sometimes we get to our, 50s or our mid 50s, and then it's kind of like a scurry to get that retirement fund going, whether it's from failed investments or whether it's from lack of saving or, medical circumstances or tragedy or loss or anything like that. We can always rebuild financially with a plan, right?
Absolutely.
And that's what you're an expert in. That's what you specialize in, because you've lived that. You've had to raise, a young family as a single mum. You've had to work. You worked in corrections for 20 years. Oh my, and to have something on the side as well. And as we know, since the world's gone crazy, we kind of need more than that one income stream at the moment as well, don't we?
Absolutely. We sure do. And it was funny because my major was actually in finance, but I did not get, I got a financial education after I joined my network marketing company. My financial education, I got my general education basically taught me how to go out and get a job and create wealth for somebody else's family. And my family was pretty much would have been left out in the cold. But I'm grateful for my friend Tim, who actually introduced me to my network marketing company. And the rest has been history.
It is indeed. Now, we've got some exciting news to share about you as well, because you're one of the authors in a collaborative book with the producer, Stacey Hall, the amazing Stacey Hall. And I know that you were in book one, and now this is book two in the Power of Yes series, and you can find it on Amazon, The Power of Yes. And it is The Power of Yes presents building your network marketing business without leaving your comfort zone. And I love the endorsement from Joe Vitale in The Secret as well. And he's quoted to say about this book, and it's on the front cover: dreams do come true. Get this book as a first step towards expecting miracles. Wow, boom, powerful. Now, I know that your chapter is quite enlightening. When I read your chapter, I was like, this is kind of a side of Darlene I wasn't kind of expecting. It was really refreshing. So can you talk us through a little bit about when did you first realize you wanted to be an author and share your story?
I said quite a few years ago, actually, while I was working, all of the things that I had been exposed to, I always used to jokingly say, I could write a book about this. and then when the opportunity availed itself after I had met Stacey, and she said that basically you didn't have to have any writing experience, haven't written any books before. And it was a compilation book where I wouldn't be the only author. So I'm like, this sounds right up my alley. So I jumped in with both feet, and the rest is history. She just brought the best out of me. So I'm grateful.
The best she did. The best she did. Now, what was one of the most surprising things that maybe you learned in writing your chapter? Was there something you learned about yourself writing it?
How easy it was to write it, first of all. But one of the things I found, that I would wake up sometimes 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning and start writing. But it just flowed. So because it was me. My chapter is titled Love Lifted Me. And because of love, I was able to write the chapter, write the book, and found out all along it was love that brought me to each stage in my life and in the book, and how I was able to make it through and go through each of those stages in my life. And if it had not been for that love, I don't know where I'd be right now today. But I'm just grateful for the love that God has, first of all, given and showered down on me. But just the love that I know I can do anything that I put my mind and my desire to, as long as I'm willing to put forth the effort. And as long as God gives me the strength, that's just what I'm going to do.
Love your enthusiasm. I love your power. I love your passion, Darlene. And what do you wish the reader of your chapter, what do you want them to take away from it?
I want them to take away that as long as you're in an alignment with your core values and an alignment with your purpose, you can do anything that you desire to do and stay in your comfort zone. You don't have to go outside of that comfort zone in order to be successful, to make money, and to be happy and content. So long as you're inside of your comfort zone, the sky is the limit.
And it's okay to stretch ourselves a little bit, but we hear this saying, success happens at the end of your comfort zone. But that's way too much for a lot of people, because sometimes it's not in alignment with our core values or our beliefs, is it? So I love how you mentioned to stay within your comfort zone, to be true to yourself almost, to be authentic, to be organic, to create real networks and communities based on who you are and who you feel comfortable being. So thank you very much for sharing that. And what else would you like to elaborate on about comfort zones and being successful?
Well, you mentioned just a few minutes ago about stretching inside of your comfort zone. We don't want to get to the point where we're just content. But when you're stretching and growing inside of that comfort zone, long as you're in alignment with those core values, you can make it. You can be successful. You can have the goals, dreams, and desires that you choose to have or want to have. So those are the things that, long as you're inside of your desires and in alignment with your core values, you've got it made. You can do it.
You do indeed. You do indeed have it made. Now, The Power of Yes presents building your network marketing business without leaving your comfort zone. That is the title of the book. It is available on Amazon, and you have to reach out. And Darlene, what's the title of your chapter again?
Love Lifted Me.
Love Lifted Me. And what have you got coming up in 2022?
Woohoo! In 2022, there are a lot of great things coming up. I am going to be part of a summit coming up in 2022. I am also going to be writing another chapter in 2022. Also, I am part of a network marketing company, and we are having an awesome promotion. And we're just helping people all across the country. So many people have lost their jobs, or so many companies are actually closing. So I am giving people a lifeline, giving them a lifeline so they can have alignment with themselves, be in their comfort zone, and still make money so they can take care of themselves and their families. Because when we have the circumstances and the desires and needs are met, we can live comfortably and be able to help somebody else live comfortably as well. So my mission is to help 10,000 baby boomers start their journey to personal financial success and give themselves a stimulus that keeps giving all year long.
I love that. You're helping so many families and communities. And what kind of message would you like to leave the audience on today, Darlene?
My message is to stay in that comfort zone. Stretch, if you will, but stay in that comfort zone. And when you're in that comfort zone, everything will come into alignment, and you can make it. You can do it. If you desire, you have to have the will and the desire. And if you have those things and in alignment, and if you don't know where your core values are, search your core values and decide for yourself, because each of our core values are going to be different. So decide what your core values are, and you'll find peace and comfort inside of your core values, because you know you're in alignment and you're where you're supposed to be.
I love that word, alignment. That's actually my power word for 2022 as well, Darlene. So great minds think alike.
Yes.
Thank you so much for being brave to share your story. We'll be sharing where to connect with you. You're so appreciated. It's always lovely chatting with you. You're such a joy. And you can find the Victim to Victory podcast series on YouTube, Spotify, Apple, and the Facebook group. So please subscribe and comment and help be the change that the world needs. And let me leave you with a message of step into your story, figure out who you are, and do it on purpose. Thank you, Darlene.
Thank you, Tracey. I appreciate it. Have a better than amazing day.